Hi, welcome to this new video, and for today's video I would like to give my opinion about what HubSpot gives us when we create a new HubSpot portal. When you create a new HubSpot portal, HubSpot will already put some assets in it, and especially properties. So if you don't know what a property is, you can find a video where I explain to you everything you need to know about them. But to summarize, a property is a place where you can store specific information about a contact, a company, a deal, etc. To give you some example, HubSpot already creates some properties such as annual revenue, average page views, buying roles, city, contact owner, the phone numbers, the email, etc. They are basically what HubSpot imagined be fitting for 90% of businesses. The point of this video is to tell you that you should not trust 100% those native properties, and you need to think about, does this specific property play the role I want for my business organization? So during this video, we'll go through several HubSpot bad native properties, and we can divide it in different groups. The wrong object property, the wrong type of property, the wrong values for specific properties, and some specific setup that apply to specific properties. So let's start with the wrong object properties. What does that mean by that is, as you can see, when you have properties, you can select an object. So it could be contact, company, deal, lead properties, list, whatever. If they ask you to choose the good object, is for a specific reason, is because a property is only linked to one object. So when you store information about a contact, it's on a contact property and is not shared with company. And if you look at my screen right now, you can see that we have one specific example of what HubSpot did wrong. In the contact properties, we have annual revenue. Of course, you can see that in the company properties as well. You can see annual revenue, but the thing that contact is the first object you will use on your HubSpot portal, and you have this information might make you think, okay, I will store my annual revenue information in this property. This property is on the contact perspective, and it's normally companies that have annual revenues more than individuals. This example of a specific other object property within the contact property is not isolated. We have a lot of different examples, such as number of employee that you can find here, that is still into contact properties. So maybe in some cases you want to store this information in contact, but in a healthy and well-organized portal, you should not even think about using this annual revenue within contact properties, but directly stores information within the associated company of this property. And that brings us to the second kind of native properties we should avoid, is the wrong type of property. And once again, the annual revenue is a good example. If we go back to the company properties, we can see that annual revenue, the property type is number, which means that when you want to store information, you will type a number. If you go back to contact properties, you can see that it's single line text. So people can put a single line text information. So you will be able to store the annual revenue information with text. You will tell me, yeah, but we can still write numbers on text, so it's not an issue. Actually, it's an issue, because if we try to create a specific list to identify all the contacts that have more than 100,000 euros annual revenue, you will want to add a filter, choose contact property, annual revenue, and now you will see that you can't say more than 100,000 because it's a text. So you only have the choice of is equal to, not equal to, contains any of, doesn't contain any of, starts with any of, etc. What does that mean? It means that if you want to have the list of all the contacts that have more than 100,000 euros annual revenue, you will need to, one by one, etc., etc. You get it, is really not a good way to deal with your data. In the opposite, if we take the example of the company, which use the annual revenue number, you can say is greater than 1,000 euros. And that's make my point about the good object. Here is a contact list. So we have a list of 350 contacts, but we can still segment our contact base based on associated objects such as a company. So it doesn't make any sense to use the contact annual revenue unless you only targeting, I don't know, freelancers or individuals that doesn't have like a company or a specific domain name. And even if you have this segment of population, don't use the native annual revenue property that HubSpot created, because it will be a single line text and not a number property. So that was one example, but there's a lot of them. Basically, every time you have a HubSpot created property, check the type and answer your question, does this type need the way I collect data or I segment or use this data? The most famous example that I present every time I can is a country region property. If you type country, you have 4 native properties that HubSpot allow you to use. IP country and IP country codes are based on the IP address of the lead, so you can't modify them and you can like upload your own data. But country region, if you see, like it's a single line text. And if you want to ask this information on the form, what will happen? Because it's a free text box, a single line text, people will be able to type, for instance, England, UK, United Kingdom with typos, etc., which will result in a lot of different variation of the same answer, and that will make your way of segmenting your database, like let's say you want to isolate all the UK leads, you will not be able to have a clear, easy to make and 100% accurate vision of your UK leads. In this case, what would be great is a drop-down menu where people click on country and they have a list of all the countries that exist in the world. That way, if a UK leads arrive, you will have no choice to choose United Kingdom with the same format for the property, and you will be able, with one click, to say, oh, those are my UK leads, country is equal to United Kingdom. So you will just need to create a new property, name it country dropdown, for instance, select the group contact information, and in field type, you will want to have a dropdown select. You will tell me like, but Greg, it will take forever to write down the 200 countries within this form. That's why HubSpot gives you natively the list. You click on load options, you select country, load options, and that's done. You have your property ready to use. I don't understand why they don't propose it natively, but making that specific country dropdown property can save you a lot of time. So we create, to show you how effective it is, we will take back our example of the UK leads. So if we go back to the list and we name it UK country, for instance, we have 2 ways to make it happen. Either we have the native one, which is country region is equal to UK, England, United Kingdom, Great Britain, I don't know. And even try to include the typo, or for instance, u.k, this kind of thing. So you will basically never be sure that you have always all the possibilities of what a specific lead I fill under this value. Or you can simply say contact property is country dropdown is any of United Kingdom, and you're good. This way, you're sure that your data is clean, understandable, even for reporting purpose, and all the leads have the same value for this specific information. That was the 2 first big issues with HubSpot native properties. Now I want to talk about room values for these native properties. If you're using HubSpot, you know that there is 2 main native properties that everyone should use, is lifecycle stage and lead status. So if I want to summarize what is a lead status, is an information that displays to you where the conversation with a specific lead is right now. So basically, the value of lead status could be few things. New, I never talked to that lead, is new, we don't have a conversation together, or is open, in contact, in progress, call it as you want, like now, right now, we have a conversation with the lead, the situation is open, or need time, call later, this kind of things, because the lead told you, I'm interested, but maybe later, and a kind of garbage value, which is lost. This lead don't want to talk with us and is not interested in our product, is lost. When you go to this native property, you see that they give you example of what it could be. We have new, open, in progress, open deal, unqualified, attempted to contact, connected, bad timing. Using it as it is for you doesn't make sense. You need to make the values match your current operation system. And for instance, what's the difference between like open, in progress, connected? We don't really know, as it doesn't make that much difference. Think about that as just examples of what your values can be, but it's really important that you take the time to add options and write the correct wording for all the situation you might experience in your conversation with a lead and delete the one that you will never use. So this status property is really useful, but you need to shape it to match your business operation. And the second native property that everyone should use is the lifecycle stage. And same here, the idea of a lifecycle stage is to have a conversion funnel that shows you how far a lead did go in his buyer journey. And HubSpot gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 8 different values. It doesn't mean you need to use 8 of them. You just need to select what value makes sense for you. If you feel lost, I create a video that explains to you how to translate your lead buyer journey in HubSpot, and it helps you design your deal pipeline, lifecycle stages, and lead status. So the idea is like most of the business will have a 5-stage lifecycle, which is lead, a lead entering your database, MQL, marketing qualified lead, is qualified by your marketing operation, sales qualified lead, you book a meeting with a salesperson, opportunity, you open a deal within your HubSpot account, and customer, the deal is won. So basically, if you want to stick to this kind of classic way of functioning, you can go to your objects contact, lifecycle stage, and simply delete the one you don't need. So we have lead, MQL, SQL, opportunity, customer, and we don't care about evangelist and other. Of course, that's an example I show you. Same thing with lead status. You can name them and make as many steps as you want based on your business process. But don't stick to exactly what HubSpot gives you, because it's just showcasing possibilities. It's not fitting your business needs. And the last thing I want you to worry about native properties is a really specific example, but I think for me the really important one is the phone number. Let's create a form to see what I mean by the phone number issue and how to fix that. You can go to forms, we create a random form, and we will add the different phone properties. If you go to your search bar, you will see that you have 3 different phone properties. We have the WhatsApp one, we have the phone number, and the mobile phone number. Why using WhatsApp phone number is important? Because if you have a WhatsApp account integrated to your HubSpot account, you will need to link this property to this integration to be able to communicate through WhatsApp. So that's a specific case that you should use if you plan to do like WhatsApp communication. But between phone and mobile phone number, you can think that nowadays no one have a proper phone number, like a fixed phone number. Everyone is using a mobile phone number. So you might think, okay, it makes more sense for me to collect mobile phone numbers and to put them in the mobile phone property, because it's a native HubSpot property and is what we should do. This mobile phone number have one issue that phone number doesn't have. If you click on the settings of this property and you go down, you can just put a minimum and a maximum of numbers to guide the number that a specific lead will enter in this specific field. If you go to the phone number now, you will realize that you have the minimum, maximum, and you have the show country code drop-down menu. And when you apply it and you click on update, you can see how it looks on the form. In this case, I can write the number I want. It will not be an issue, but some people will write 08, some people will write 8 or plus country code indication 8 or plus country code indication 08, whatever. It will make the list of your phone numbers really not homogeneous, and when you will export your database, it might be really messy when it comes to having the same format for the mobile phone numbers. Using this phone number property, as I said, no one really cares about fixed number and always focus on the mobile phone number. You can store all your phone number under this property, choose a country code and type your phone number. It will be the same format for every phone number. They will all start with plus and the country indication. One good thing about it is if you have this country indication, you don't need to ask the country of a lead directly on the form. You can deduct it by segmenting your database based on those country code indication. So that was few examples on why you should not believe blindly HubSpot native properties, but you should always ask yourself the question, why I need this information, or I will collect the data, and for what goal. This way you will be able to understand if the property has the good object, the good type, and the good values inside it. I hope this video was helpful and will make you don't use those native bad data HubSpot properties. If it's the case, don't forget to put a thumbs up and to subscribe to this channel. If you want to know everything about properties, I've created a private web page showing you everything I learned over more than 8 years of experience in HubSpot about properties, how to use them, how to create them, what to do with them, etc. If you're interested about these free resources, don't hesitate to click on the description below to have access to it immediately. It was Greg. I wish you a good day and see you next Wednesday.